Hi everyone. Happy Friday. I'm gonna add you, Nealay.
Hey,
Look who it is!
how's it going?
Got Nealay in the house today. This is a special day, Nealay. I don't know if you understand. We've maybe done one class with you in the past.
I know,
One.
yeah. I think we're trying to bridge that gap for sure. And I don't know why we waited all that. But you know what? We're here now. It doesn't matter. We're here and we're together.
So if y'all do not know Nealay, he runs. I mean, there's so many ways to describe Nealay. Nealay,
Good things or bad
think
things?
about how I see Nealay. Nealay is just you start off as a designer.
Mhm.
And you're a published designer with incredible designs. You've done a whole book using Softflex, right?
Yeah, my first book was published in 2012 with Kalmbach, and it focused around the Softflex beading wire
Right.
and seed bead weaving, and it was quite intricate, and it really did pivot like the direction of where I was sort of heading, and was a catalyst for really just making new connections in the industry and just having new
Mhm.
opportunities open up this crazy time. But
And now
yeah, I
your
I'll
own
go ahead.
company. I like introducing people because I think it's better to have yourself introduced. Now Nealay, because it's so much more fun to talk about someone else. Now Nealay runs SilverSilk and More, which is a company that has a primary focus on knit chain. And
Mhm.
oh boy, is it stunning. Oh boy, because it comes in so many beautiful colors. There's a few varieties, including one you just launched, which I'm sure we'll get to hear and see you design with today.
Yeah, simply put, I think the way that I've always described it's a knitted wire jewelry chain that you can cut up, string on, bead. You could leave it naked if you wanted and just have it nice and drapey. I'm actually wearing some today, so I put some of your beads on it, Sam. Look at those. Do you remember those? The
Of
ones we
course,
couldn't identify?
our mystery agate.
Our mystery agate. So there's quite a few variety. There's a variety of ways that you can use it within a design. So which is today's project. It's about that creativity and just I'm a mixed media guy. Like I love trying to combine different types of components, wires, beads, and just stuff together. So for me, that's like a happy, I don't know, palette to work in. And um, it's so fun with the stuff that you put together with your beads and your bead
Mhm.
boxes and the way that you are so descriptive about the color palette and everything. Like it just brings me so much joy to be able to create from that with the chain that I have. So I feel like this is where we just like it's so good that we met in this
I know.
world.
It's so funny because I feel the same way. I love scrolling. Nealay has a Facebook group that they call the Silkies, and I love scrolling it so much. Um, and seeing what you and your community and kind of our community almost feels like now,
Yeah,
come up with combining the materials because I think it's really when you have really nice materials, nice quality materials at hand, like it really lends itself to creating some really beautiful things. Um,
absolutely.
and then when
That's
you
why
have
I'm
like
so oh go ahead. Keep talking.
my last when you have Nilay's like design chutzpah, as you would say in like Yiddish, um, it's incredible. So it's always so fun to see
Aw.
what you do with the box each month. It's so fun, and so I'm hoping we get to see some of that inspiration today.
You absolutely will, and you do pack quite a bit of quality in there. And when we pan down to my working camera, I posted a design not too long ago that used beads from your latest bead box, and I kind of wanted to show that off a little bit first before we dive into our other
Sure.
project.
Here, I'll add.
Ooh, there I am.
I'll do the fancy thing. I'll do my best.
Yes. So y'all remember maybe if you've looked at the picture post that I posted, this little guy, which is I don't know. There's just something about this how like minimal it is, but like it really helps you respect everything that's there, right? The
Oh, it's phenomenal.
carnelian.
It's one of my favorite things ever.
Yay! I've done what I've set out to do then, which is make Sam proud. But
think I
I
tried
just
to
get
harden it multiple times in gem chat and it wouldn't let me.
it's okay. It's totally okay. But yeah, and I got to use the pipe chain, which is my latest newest product. And then just some basic wire work, which really gets you where you need to go. And with design, I really focus in on making something more graphic and more like punchy in a way. So it's not just
Mhm.
about adding beads, but adding beads purposefully
Hmm.
in juxtaposing it with different types of textures, or what do certain types of lines create. But I guess like I'm nerd out over design because my day job, I'm a graphic designer as well. And so I could just talk about design all day. But anyways, I just wanted to show that off just as a thing, which kind of works our way and segues into our project today, because we are going to be using wire with our design.
Mhm.
So unless you wanted to announce anything at this point, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to
Oh,
teach.
I'm just here to hang with you, Nealay. I'm gonna
Oh,
let you
super.
take the reins.
Okay. Well, I wanted to teach you guys how to construct this design here. Let me hold it up to the camera. It uses 20 gauge wire with the new pipe chain and beads from Sam's Beatbox. And I used the January box, but I have found beads in your latest box that will replicate this design just beautifully. So I thought I'd use some of those because I don't want to destruct this example either. And whenever I make tutorials, I usually make the piece, photograph it, and then I can deconstruct it so
I
that I can
literally could
reconstruct
never. I would cry. I could never do
it. I have sometimes because I'm like, man, I really like hit the mark on this one. But you know what? If I did it once, I should be able to do it again, right?
I think so. I think, and it'll be cool to see how you evolve it with different beads too.
That's a good point, because the textures, we're using opaque down here and we're using these transparent ones here in substitute. And these actually also look similar on the backside. They just have a little scrolly dilly that like holds it in
Sorry,
place.
what was that? What was that?
A scrolly dilly.
Scrolly dilly. Of course it was.
You have to get on board with Nealay's terminology, because it's not. It doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. Like
No,
the way that I
I'm ready.
describe stuff is
I'm
fun,
ready for
right?
it. It's amazing.
Okay, but here's the deal though. The scrolly dilly thing prevents this from actually turning. So
Oh, right.
there's a utilitarian purpose to this design as well. Because, when you get these flat beads, they kind of tend to rotate back and
Mm-hmm.
forth when you're wearing it. It doesn't quite lay like it would in a photograph. Well, in the discovery of this design, I use these scrolls to create a way for these to stay stationary.
It's so smart.
Thank you. So it was nice to be able to solve that problem. And then the rest of this is just kind of wired up to make this necklace rope work. So really, I wanted to focus in on the centerpiece. So I'm going to keep this out here to the side and then walk you guys through what materials we want to use to construct this. So I have got some 20 gauge antique copper wire, very flexible, and it's pretty much ready to go. I think I'm just going to run it through my nylon jaw pliers a couple times. So let me do that real quick to straighten it out. And then I've got some disc beads that are in that beautiful orange color. That is from your latest mystery bead box. And then I've got some 8mm amethyst rounds. And then I've also got some 26 gauge antique copper wire that matches my 20 gauge. So I'm going to have that out to the side as well. And then I've got some pipe chain, which looks like this. And again, this is just a type of knitted wire jewelry chain that I carry. And this one has been my most versatile chain up to this point, because it's essentially a rubber tubing that has knitted wire on top of it. So first of all, I precaution those people that want to purchase this. If you have any sort of latex or rubber or what's the other? Latex or rubber, I guess,
Yeah.
allergy, then this stuff might not be the right chain for you to use. But if you have no allergies and want to try creating this design, then this is the stuff to use. So this is the bone color, which comes in a 3-foot spool. And this is going to go a long ways because really all I'm using is just a little bit to be able to get my 3 beads set up here. And I'm going to use 3 out of the 4 that come into this because I'm going to work with the odd numbers. And I get it really depends on how many beads. Whenever I was doing this, I really wasn't measuring. It kind of just magically worked out. And I was like, oh, it was meant to be. So here I'm having to do some calculations. So I have a bead between each bead here, right? So logically speaking, that would fall there. I'm going to probably space this out with 1 bead in between maybe, or do I need to? No, I don't need to because then it would look too spaced out. So let's do this. I'm going to do 2 beads, 2 more beads, and then 1 more. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is my math correct here? We're about to find out. I think that's correct. Okay.
Yes.
Welcome to willy-nilly beading with me. No, I'm
not worried.
I'm not too worried either. I think we're going to make this work. Okay, so what I need to do is cut the length of my pipe chain here a little bit larger than the length of my beads here. So probably going to do about a 1/2 inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch more. And remember, people, you can always cut off more, but you can't always add on. So maybe if you're really unsure about what the length should be, maybe just cutting a little extra just in case. And then you can always cut back if you want to. Now, pipe chain, and all of my chains, when you cut them, the wire doesn't fray. So this is one of the cool things about the jewelry chain. But what you do get are these little wire fuzzies that tend to come out. I call them wire fuzzies. There's really no technical term, but really it's just these little bits of wire that are left behind after you cut it, and the knit kind of just stays halfway in there. So really the idea here is just to kind of pluck them off because they tend to kind of either get in the way of crimping if you're going to use some of the other chains, or in this case, it just kind of looks, not cool to have them kind of hanging out there. You just want to make it nice and cleaned up there at the end there. So I'm going to do that on both sides here.
How large is the hole of the rubber itself?
It is about 1.5 millimeter.
Okay, so you could get some decent wires, memory wire through there.
Yeah, you can get up to, let's see, I tried this on a previous live, actually. You can't do 14 gauge because that's too big.
It's
a very large wire, yeah. I believe it or not, I've got some from Parawire that I thought I would use for something, and then it's been sitting in my box for well over 5 years.
14 gauge wire is great if you want a hammer project.
I know, and I have all these hammers, but I have yet to imaginate an idea that I need to use them. But I think the excuse is I need to make something for myself.
Yeah.
Because that would motivate me to actually get out there and hammer something cool with it.
Because you can also punch, if you can get it flat, you could punch holes in. I'm a big fan.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah.
That's a good idea. And now I lost my train of thought because I was at outer space.
You're telling me what you have.
Okay. So any of the 1 millimeter leather cord is great. Memory wire is wonderful. You can use up to probably 18 gauge to 16 gauge wire. I haven't tried 16 gauge, but I think it might be able to actually fit through this pretty easily.
It should. I would imagine. I mean, 18, yeah, it makes sense.
18 is, I would, you know what though, 18 is probably still not thick enough for me, but it's just something that I have on hand to be able to use all the time, right? So even with this, I'd probably go with a more thick wire for the frame of this just to get it more stable, and then probably use the 20 gauge to create the scrolls and stuff there. And because you want it small enough to fit inside of a bead too, so that's something to consider. And so that's probably why I picked out the 20 gauge to begin with, but with the way my brain works, you never know. Okay, so automatically I can tell that this is going to be a little bit large. Well, I don't know. It also depends on the size of the hoop that you're about to make is going to be. So I'm actually going to grab my large loop right pliers, and these are awesome because I can make gigantic loops with these pliers with such ease. And
what in the world? I have never seen those.
You've never seen these? Yeah, these are these. So Sarah Ayler, my friend from Softflex Wire, gave these to me, and I love these. Like, I really do. These are measured in millimeters too, so you got 8, 7, 6, so on and so forth to the end.
Yeah, it's almost like a version of a step plier.
It is. And even those would be awesome. I just happen to have this one. I think I'm also one of those people that's just set in my ways. Yeah. So like, I would love new tools, but I also just love my tools.
Oh, I got noted. I put in a little order for some tools to try out for the shop, and on my list was a pair of Xuron crimpers.
I love them.
The number of times I've heard you talk. There they are.
Oh my gosh, these are brilliant. I freaking love these. Like, I love the tapered end because they work so well with my findings too, but just the type of crimping and stuff,
I'm very
and
excited.
how easy it is. Like, it's just, yeah, you did the right thing, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to leave a generous bit of wire here at the ends, so probably about 2 inches on each side, and I'm just going to trim back. Whoops, some cutters here. I'm going to save this for later. And what I'm going to do to one end is I'm going to grab my pliers. And if you have just a pair of standard round nose pliers, this technique will work just fine. Just you'll be using the very end of your plier head there so that you get the biggest loop possible. But otherwise, if you do have some other step pliers, you can use the size of loop that you'd like to make it. In this case, I'm going to go for the 8mm ring there just to make it nice and meaty and big. I'm going to go ahead and do that to both sides. And if you'll notice, like, whenever my loop was made, I kind of had to slide this knitted wire down a little bit. So just to do that on that one side before you do your second loop here is key. Okay, so again, I'm really nervous that I'm going to have more of this to work with. But you know what? We can actually, if we end our loop there, we should be perfect. So let's do this. I'm going to grab my end there, and I'm actually going to cut away a little bit. I'm not going to cut away too much. And then I'm going to grab my round nose pliers because that's a little bit easier at this point to do that than with the loop right, since these are a little bit shorter. And I'm just going to create a nice little ring here as such. And I'm going to do that to both sides. Let's see. So we cut away some wire. Now from the hook, I would say where the hook ends, you probably have about 1 inch of wire left.
Okay,
and that would be
measuring it.
Yeah, that would probably be sufficient enough, I think, to create this little loop. And I guess, like, I'm already seeing that I'm probably going to need more beads, but that's okay because we love all the beads, right?
More beads. More beads. More beads.
Everything. I need more beads. So, okay, I have more beads, luckily, from your kit.
Phew.
So we're going to just use that to kind of put a spacer at the ends of these. Now, if you have a little bit of a gap here on your little loopy loop, you definitely want to close that in and not have that gap there because you don't want any of that wire to fall out later.
Yeah, close your loopy loops.
Close your loopy loops.
We're really fancy here today.
I love my terminology. It's just, it's just, I'm sure I'm going to get some angry faces on the.
Oh, as long as the angry faces are outweighed by dozens of laughing faces, we're on the right track.
Oh boy. Okay, and I have actually I love these he she.
I'm obsessed with those. I want everyone to be obsessed with those as I am.
You have gotten me on board with these. And also because I've, kind of screwed up the sizing there, we're just going to use them as spacers. So I feel like it just strengthened my obsession for them because they're so useful in all the applications here. So what I'm going to do is grab my 26 gauge wire and I'm going to string it through my loopy loop. And I'm going to go ahead and coil it a few times. This is going to anchor one end of my beaded portion here. So I'll do that 3 times. Okay, once you've done that, you can actually trim off if you want to, or you can leave it for the end. We'll just leave it for the end, but you could trim that part off. And I'm going to string on my little he, she, and then I'm going to string on my amethyst. This is so great. I've actually not had amethyst in my personal stash for a very long time. And then when I saw it in the bead box, I was like, what?
Why were you not purchasing amethyst for yourself, Nealay?
I don't know. Because I was waiting for your bead box now. It was destiny.
I think
perfect.
Buying amethyst for yourself is like a form of self-love.
It really is. Really just any stones.
I also agree.
Okay, there we go. So I got my spacing out almost just perfect there. Whoa. Being kind of, well, actually, I probably might need, I might need another bead. Let me see here. Let's see what we can add to our collection.
My other idea is a fuchsia. No, you didn't just all. Oh my god, fantastic.
Yeah, but it's big bead, so I'm not mad about it. But and also like I was trying to figure out because you have such a great collection in here that, and I'm a fan of color, so like any excuse that I could add some extra zhuzh to this, I'm all for.
What are the main colors that are available in the pipe chain? I'm so curious, what do you think would go well with the February box?
I carry a lot of. Well, okay, let me start that sentence over. So I carry 10 main colors at the moment. I have a few that I want to make. It's just trying to find the right time and space and suppliers to do that. But the colors that I do carry currently are great neutral colors for all sorts of creativity. So I have everything from like a deep, rich purple to a light blue. There's hematite. I've got silver on black, which works really well with any sort of metal components that you might want to include.
Mm-hmm.
There's, of course, this bone color, which I'm obsessed with. Okay, so see, I did it correctly there. It's still a little short, but I'm not going to be mad about it.
Yeah. What are you looking for to make it, what feels right to you?
Lengthwise? Or
yeah, what are you feeling for? Are you feeling like, is there a certain amount of tension you're kind of going for?
Oh, I see. Kind of. I want to pinch these down close to the bone, and then I'm trying to get a little bit of a drape. That way I can kind of create a little arch with my wire here. So I'm looking for a nice bow shaped component. That's why I added the extra beads, because it was looking a little, when I stretched it across this whole thing, it was looking way too linear and was laying flat, and it wasn't giving me this beautiful like roundish shape. So the more beads you add, the more curvature you can get with this.
Gotcha.
And also the more color you can get into your design, because these colors are just going to work so well with those orange beads. So I'm actually delighted that I could include them into this.
And I'm now fascinated because I was expecting those orange beads to already have been attached to the 26 gauge wire, and now I'm fascinated to see what's about to happen.
I attached them afterwards, actually. Well, okay, let me back up again because I feel like I get ahead of myself without explaining
Sorry,
what
I'm jumping ahead too because I was in. I got
There's
into
no
how well.
context to what I'm saying, but that's okay. We'll finish this guy out, and then actually that's what we're gonna get to anyway. So that's perfect timing. Okay, so what I love about this thinner, especially copper wire, it's so flexible and easy to work with, and it's once you get it coiled up in place, it just really just stays nice and structured. Okay, there we go. I have a little sticky outy ouchie, so I'm going to make sure that I don't have that and trim it back. I'm really coming up with some fun terms tonight. You and Sarah have snacks, but you and I will have silly terms.
Fair, I'll take it. Wait, I didn't even realize process that I got to begin and end my week with Nealay and Sarah.
That's right.
That was my first thing on Monday. That was random.
Amazing. Amazing. Sounds like you've had a good week and I have too.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you heard yesterday I ended up taking the day off yesterday and we didn't have a sale last night, which was a first in a long while in the shop.
Oh no, Sam, I got my wait,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I got my count wrong.
Oh, that's my fault.
So I'm going to redo this real quick.
Amazing.
But that's okay. We're just gonna work it out. The thing is also I'm a perfectionist, so if it's not right on my table, it's not gonna work. And if you do mess up and want to take it apart, you can. I'm gonna move a little faster in doing this so that we can move this tutorial along. But you can really just lift up these little rolls and then just take that bit of wire out.
I can't believe neither of us caught that sooner.
No. So the count is 6. 6, but we could add 8 and have the 2 on the extra ends there with just the barrel round beads, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Unless I just forgot to string one, which is entirely possible. How was the choir practice and everything today? Or was it today or was it yesterday?
So it was Wednesday. I had a rehearsal and it was like an abnormal one because beforehand I also had an audition for like some solo stuff we're doing soon.
Did you nail it?
I don't think it was terrible. I think I feel hopeful. I did some nice, oh God, it was like 18th century Bach.
Really?
I mean, that was always the type of music I did in school, was all early music. So I felt decently comfortable doing the audition.
Wow. I'm impressed.
It's been nice to have some more variety in my weeks the last month. It's been because I really came from the performing arts world, but then now I've been more in like jewelry, which is much more visual medium and like stimulates me in a different way. So it's nice to also have to have that in my week.
I feel like that's like how I feel about having a day job, but also just trying to find the balance in my day to make sure that I'm getting fitness and seeing, friends regularly and trying to get the most variety out of my week that I could possibly get. I've been cooped up because we've had some snow. And so for those of you that have ordered from me, I apologize because I wasn't able to get it out this week. Yeah, that's going to be too much. So let's take away these two. And so I'm ready to like get out of the house finally and do some stuff elsewhere.
How cold has it been? Like has it been too much snow to get to go out basically?
Oh yeah, no, we had like a ice storm basically kind of come in and turn into sleet, and freeze the ground over for a while.
Oh my goodness.
So the roads were not fun to drive on for a couple days. But again, I kind of tend to be a homebody anyways, and like the virtual things are such fun for me. Do you find it amusing that I'm putting on other beads?
I want so I know because now you're having to adjust it, so I can let you focus on this for a second.
No,
you put
that's okay.
Oh, smart! You grabbed some larger.
I did.
Fuchsia rounds from the box.
Well, that's what I appreciate about the box is that you just have the same color palette, kind of, but translated into different types of beads, so it's not difficult to mix and match, and especially when you're on a live video and you forget your pattern and
you don't have to go digging through the boxes.
Do what?
You don't have to go digging through the boxes.
I don't have to.
Your alternates are right there.
Exactly. It's all available here for me. Okay, so
are you happy?
I'm just gonna do my count one more time.
Please do.
That is perfect. Okay.
Nice.
So we're just going to coil this around. But anyway, it is nice to have some variety back, and I'm looking forward to at least just being able to get back to the gym and stuff because I've missed that for a couple weeks now, and that's sort of helping me just get my mind off things, and I end up sleeping better because I feel like nice and stretched out and relaxed and stuff. So I feel like physical fitness is so important for all kinds of things. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. So another use for my handy dandy Xuron crimpers, that little tapered end there is perfect for working with smaller wire.
Getting it tucked in there.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious about when you were starting to create the first piece you have there in the top, like the original design in the top right there. Where does that come from? Are you starting? Where do you start? Do you start by laying out your beads? Do you kind of what's your starting point?
I knew that in looking at your beads. Well, okay, maybe that wasn't my starting point. That's a good question.
I know I'm putting you on the spot. I'm just because you were talking about
using. It is because it's like almost trying to work backwards in a way because I was like, I knew I wanted to use specific beads. I just didn't know how. And I think that was really the answer to solving this design was if I put these beads here, how do I drape these down here? Because I don't want to mix them. And then and if you notice with my designs, I also like to color block. So like I have things that are kind of layered on top of each other without them intersecting like you would a traditionally like strung necklace, right? So I kind of just figured out these layers that I wanted to create and then figured out how I wanted to attach them. And the easiest solution was because nobody really wants to do any tedious bead weaving around here or in my own community. I wanted to use wire because it's the most friendly, utilitarian, easy to work with stuff out there. And, trying to use that as sort of the framework for creating this design. So I'm just going to create a quick little scroll, and I didn't explain how to make it this time around, but I'm going to explain it on the next one. Really, I just want to show you guys how easy it is to connect all this stuff together.
I'm also definitely going to start using your term because I call them spirals, but scrolls is so much fancier.
And scrolls, I don't think is my term because, well, my silly terms at this point, but I learned about scrolls from another instructor that's out there. And who was it? I think it was Lisa Niven Kelly. I don't know if you've heard of her or not. She's quite the instructor and has been in the bead scene forever. And has so much to offer teaching wise. So I just made like a little hook and now it's the idea that I want to string on my bead. Well, actually, I want to do a thing first. So I'm going to take my hook and actually hook it onto my beads there. And then from there, I can actually string on my bead right through it. So that kind of creates my dangle or bobble, whatever you want to call it. And now all we have to do is create a scroll for the backside. And I think I have to make it a little prettier because this is transparent. So I want to watch what I'm doing. But you guys can watch as I do this. So I'm going to cut about 2 inches of wire out from the end. That's probably a little bit more than 2 inches, but that's all right. Or actually, I'm gonna go and nip some off. So now we've got just 2 inches. And I'm gonna grab my round nose pliers and I'm going to line up that end of that wire right up against the surface of my round nose pliers. And I'm just going to turn around with my pliers, turn that wire around. But I'm going to stop at a certain point, and I want to be able to kind of lift the loop and then tuck it back in, because that is what's creating this nice little arc right here. If you just kind of turn it in and then turn it over, which I'll show you on this example piece here. If I just turn it over like this and then I start to turn it, you see how there's like a bend in there that just creates this weird egg shape.
Mm-hmm.
That little like extra folding of that wire, like when you kind of really tuck it in there, it nests that wire end in there so you don't get that awkward little egg shape. And then you can grab, actually I'm going to grab my nylon jaw pliers and I'm just going to continue to make that little scroll. When you get toward the end, what I'm going to do is actually break the neck, is what I call it. That's my technical term. Because whenever I start to finish the scroll, you'll see that it comes to a nice centered format there, because I've already have broken that neck. And then all I do is just flip it on the other side there. And it kind of creates a cool little shadow, actually, now that I'm looking at it.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah. So that's really the secret for all of this. And you can kind of play with it. It was a little smushed earlier, so I unsmushed it. And it's laying nice and flat now. And because all of the scrolls are working in place and then it's interlocked between those beads, it doesn't shift or move on you. It just kind of stays in place.
You've essentially created a bail design.
Correct, yeah.
And that's fantastic, because that could be used in a million ways.
I think so. I think this opens up a lot of possibilities for sure. More so than, it's more than just decorative. I think I'd like to kind of, pitch it as something that is quite useful if you're trying to display, if you have a bead or like these little table cut beads that are so cool. And I love that they're on both sides, but still, I kind of want to make sure that that stays up front whenever I am wearing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a great way to use it. So I'm just going to cut a couple more of these, get that out of the way, and start my scrolling process again. What you can do is, if you're about to make a P-shaped loop and you've just gotten to that point of no return, you can always trim your loop back just a little bit and go back in with your pliers and then just gently start to fold it in as such.
It's so interesting. I think I was showing us, what I was calling spiral, but same difference. I was showing this technique on, I think, the moon class I taught a few weeks ago.
Oh, I love that piece.
Thank you. I love it too. I wear it all the time.
You should. You should be very proud of it. It's gorgeous.
And I had gotten like dead set on having no open wire space in the middle of the scroll.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, the only way to basically accomplish that was to fold over and pinch it together, the wire, and then start the scroll.
Oh.
And even possibly even do a little hammering of that little piece in the middle so that it's fully filling the space.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
But it's also totally unnecessary, and this is another much simpler way to do it.
You know, the thing is, though, I am not a wire expert by any capacity. I kind of just fake it till I make it, and I think anyone can go with that theory as long as the technique that they've executed looks, flawless and intentional. Um, I would say I've never really tried to close the gap before because I just wouldn't. I always thought I'd be bad at it, so I just haven't tried it. But having said that, I am totally open to trying that technique out and then reporting back to you to see how it works for me.
You have to tell me. Okay, so I was wondering with these beads, if you're going to be able to line them up so that the orange is all at the top to let you color block it. I think that's what you're doing, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wait,
Are
wait,
you
did it
talking
turn?
about like these kind of lining up in the same direction?
Yeah, does your fourth coin have more orange on it?
Oh, I don't
Because you see how
know.
your middle one has the orange
I
gloss at
didn't
the top?
realize that they had variation. Oh,
It's almost a bonus color blocking.
it is. So you know what? It looks like my orange is at the top, so I need to flip this little guy around. Thanks for pointing that out, Sam. I would have not known to even look that way, to look at that.
What else are friends for, Nealay?
I'm saying. I am saying. Cool. Okay. So now I just got to make a little scrolly dilly on this side.
You've got a lot of suggestions coming from the Siegel siblings. My sister just commented with an idea of curious what it would look like with the bottom swirl facing towards the front of the piece.
Oh, I bet that would be. Let's try it on this one since it's just a practice piece anyway. I can always flip it back around. Luckily, that wire is quite robust and easy to work with and manipulate.
Are you still using the 20 gauge for this part?
Yes. Yeah, I went with 20 gauge throughout the rest of this thing. Whoops. The scroll there wants to do a P shape, so I'm going to trim a little bit of this back.
Nealay, what clasp are you using for this necklace?
Oh boy. How many of the Sam Siegel, Sam's bead shop people know about my clasp or their lack of? Yeah, I hadn't thought that far ahead, so
I'm just giving
just
you
to
a
let
hard
you
time.
know.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I don't have anything planned at the moment, but you know.
That's the answer we were hoping for, Nealay.
In all fairness, I wasn't expecting to construct this entire thing either, so you know. But yeah, so that's what it would look like on the front side, I guess. So you could kind of pick and choose what you like. I kind of like it on the front now that I'm looking at it because of that transparency.
Yeah.
Maybe we just flip it this way. But my loops are also a little bit are in different sizes, but I can make the other one smaller.
I was gonna say the same thing. Fake it till you make it. That middle one is intentionally larger.
Yes. If I make the second one intentionally smaller, then to match this, and it looks like I've just done it.
Yeah, exactly. Ever the start.
But I'm loving this color palette. It's so much fun to work with. And it just adds up. It's funny because I'm using the same exact materials almost. And just depending on what beads you put down really does change the attitude and the mood of the design.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad you grabbed a couple of the fuchsias too. Because
Yes.
there's something about the fuchsia and orange that's been calling to me.
I agree. I am a huge fuchsia fan, and I love orange. I just don't use it often. I know there's something in your group post about, I think it was Shira who had posted if you're a carnelian or some other gemstone person, and most folks didn't love carnelian, but I love carnelian a lot.
I think folks really liked the carnelian in this box. I mean, the gradient strand.
Oh my gosh,
the beads that I think like I've seen the most people use.
It's to die for. That gradient is just everything. Okay, so in theory, I have a smaller piece of wire there to work with. So let's see what'll happen. Anything can happen. It's a live show.
Truly.
Okay, so twist this around. And I need to cut off a little bit there because it had a very sharp tip there. Something you can also do to help with the curvature of your loop is to cut at an angle. That way you have a little bit of a tapered end to be able to fold it into the wire. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.
Yep.
Just use my chainless pliers there. Okay, I made a small. Okay, they're about the same size, so I think I feel like I've accomplished what I set out to do.
You completely have surpassed everything we dreamed of.
I surpassed
That's so pretty.
some expectations. So yeah, I'm in love with this.
Oh, I love the little amethysts, and now we can actually really see them once you're holding them up. Oh, it's beautiful.
I think going back though, I would probably, from a scale perspective, I'd probably make this smaller just a little bit, but because I've got less beads down here, and this one has 5, so it kind of matches that tapering effect, and this one's just a little bit. In my design term, my technical design term would be it's a little horsey. Because it's a little bit, just the proportions are a little horsey. So there's something to keep in mind as you guys work on this, is to watch those proportions. So, okay, so the rest of this is quite easy because it's just a simple loop, beaded simple loops, and then you just kind of connect everything that you want to, and you get this fabulous necklace. And I just use the pipe chain. You can cut it up into small pieces if you want to make little beads out of, and then just string them along. And use beads from the bead box and stuff that I've done here to kind of work all the way up as you tend to finish this. So that's really about all I had. I just wanted to kind of make sure you guys knew how to do this, the centerpiece, really.
Just the moment where Nealay realized I got to put him back on camera.
Is my hair okay?
You're doing great. That's so great. I'm so curious. Because we have a few minutes. If you wanted to, play around it all, or kind of show us some of your ideas of like how you could envision the box and some of the pipe chain going together in some different ways. Because I know I've seen you do some really nifty. One of my favorite things I saw you do recently was the memory wire bangle. I just about fell over because it looks so easy.
Yeah, I could do that, or I could make a quick little ring out of the same wires.
Can we do a bangle?
Yes, we can. I have some memory wire conveniently behind me.
Because I just found my memory wire, and I know exactly what I want to make for myself.
Yeah, well, okay, so now I gave it to my friend. So, like, I had some bracelets that I made. Yeah, some of it's packed away. Never mind. I was going to go somewhere with it, and now I'm not. Doesn't matter. Okay. I have some memory wire that magically appeared behind me. And I'm going to take the same color scheme that I'm using. I conveniently have this orange bead, but let me see if this is going to string up on here because of how wide that hole has to go through to be able to make this work. I think it will, though.
How tight is it feeling?
Not too bad, actually. The thing is, it's going to make the bracelet more ovalish than it is round, but I'm not mad about it.
Yeah. I always tell folks, keep in mind that the drill hole of a bead is going to be its weakest point. Ooh, a bead seller once told me, oh, my beads would be incredibly strong if I didn't have to put holes in them. So
I guess it wouldn't be beads anymore then, right?
Mm. So like just keep that in mind. If something feels like there's some tension on it, it has more possibility of breaking. It's glass. Like you can shatter glass with tension.
Yes, you can. I have done that in practice before, so hopefully it's like just pay attention to Sam, to what he's saying, because it makes sense. Okay, well, I'm gonna string some amethyst and some of these what was it, the fuchsia copper rondelles. Like, I'm just making myself a little fun little pattern here with the memory wire. I think memory wire also comes in different cages, right? Or is that just a made up thing? Because I just got this at the local craft store, where I think even your local bead stores might carry some memory wire.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna throw
That's
that
like,
question to the folks in the comments.
I
I know
will.
that
Is this
memory
like,
cards are multiple sizes. I don't know about the gauges.
oh yeah, this is my over the counter memory wire. My over the counter memory wire. Okay. I'm going to just cut a little bit of pipe chain. So I've put my like focal beads in the middle here. I'm going to cut a little bit of the pipe chain, and to kind of give myself that rope, I guess, for lack of a better term, to go on either end there. And then I'm going to end it with a bead at the end to kind of cap that chain off into a nice, actually, let me grab my little chain of splice. I'm diligently trying to get those little wire pieces off, the wire fuzzies. Usually there's like only 2 or 3, so it's not too bad. So before pipe chain, Sam, I really didn't use memory wire a whole lot. I used it on maybe 1 or 2 projects, but then I put it away because I was like, yeah, I did a project with it and, use this on it, but I couldn't envision anything else with it. And then suddenly, like, with this chain, I was like, my mind just like blew up with ideas, because I was like, this could be useful for all kinds of things and still give that beautiful, like, lush texture that SilverSilk has.
Oh, and I think bangle designs are genius because they're so much more versatile.
Yes, you
That
could
like
stack them, and they're so lightweight and like just easy to put on and take off. So
right, and they'll fit the sizes of like a lot of different wrists. They'll fit
yeah,
a lot of different wrist sizes of your clients. So
absolutely.
that's very convenient for you and them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just convenience all around, I think. But I have to agree. Now, you see what I was saying is like it just made that bead made this whole thing bigger. So if you have smaller beads, it's just going to be a little bit more round in its shape. But I have a little bit extra here that I need to kind of take up. So what I'm going to do is actually string the same pattern on that I did before, and improvise, because I feel like I'm the king of improvise with this class, which I'm perfectly fine with. Okay, there we go. And I think that'll actually work out pretty well. I can also probably, nope, that's not gonna work. That should be okay. I'm gonna go with it and see what happens, because
Do it.
that's all I can do. I'm going to trim this down, or actually no, I don't have to trim it down because I could just scooch everything to one side. So I'm going to bend my memory wire now. This is tricky. This is not easy for anyone to do, but you really have to just grit your teeth and like try and get this bent into the perfect P-shaped loop that you possibly can.
Because memory wire, I believe, is steel, so it's a lot thicker.
Yeah,
It's a lot harder than a copper wire would be, which is why folks,
absolutely.
it's recommended to cut it with memory wire shears and not to mess up your nice flush cutters. And then it's just, I find I've always had a little difficulty making the loops on a memory wire piece.
I agree. And I've been so terrible to use the same cutters for everything, including memory wire, when I've been preaching that I should not be doing that. The thing is, I just haven't went out and bought any memory wire cutters because I haven't been using a whole lot of memory wire up to this point. but now is that time for me to make that investment, right? Because I've been using more and more memory wire with this type of chain.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I can do is cut
No one
this.
look.
Yeah, nobody look.
No one saw, Nealay. No one saw.
Believe it or not, these pliers still cut thread pretty easily to this point. So I'm just, I don't know, surprised.
Taking everything that you're throwing at them.
I know. Have I gotten any angry faces at this point? I think I need to cut off a little more, so people close your eyes. Okay. There we go. So,
Goodness.
I've just got a cute little bracelet on the go. Now, it's a little loose for me, but again, I think what I would do is probably attach a little bit of jewelry chain to this, just as an extra decorative touch, and then maybe add some baubles here at the end with some head pins.
I do like that it's an option for it's a claspless bracelet. I just think that's really nice for like the idea of putting that on and off so easily is great.
Yeah. That's why I made a bunch actually, and I think I have. Oh, I put them away. Never mind. It's gonna bring out the ones that I had that had all the different colors on. Actually, can I go look for it real quick?
Do whatever you want, Nealay.
I want to see if I can find them because they're so fun.
All right. Well, Nealay's on his goose chase. I believe that was a 5-minute bracelet, which is very efficient.
See, okay, I used beads from your previous bead box to make these, and I was just so proud of them.
Look at those.
I will say the nuggets probably work better than something that is a longer of a bead there, but you know, these were just so fun. And I made them all a little different. Well, maybe not these two, but they were intended to just stack with each other, you know?
Those are so fun.
Look at these. And these are the baubles that I was talking about. So I'm glad I grabbed the example because now I can put all of that, what I said earlier, into context with these little baubles. And so even if these like twist and turn on your wrist and like they're kind of braided together or whatever, like it doesn't matter because it kind of looks cool from every angle.
Totally. Oh, that is a great design.
And then I could just like I'll flip it across the room if I wanted to, but I could take them off quite easily. That's what I was trying to accomplish with this, but maybe the orange bead was
did.
Probably a little too big, but that's all right.
I just think it's a really cool way to feature beads. Just like I like the idea that you're kind of featuring a few beads in a really beautiful way. I think it feels like very aligned with Nealay design.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shar says, type diamond in the comment if you're going to copy this design. Colors are everything. Are those 3 colors that folks can buy on your website, Nealay?
Yeah, so this one is, I named them all after gemstones of what it reminds me of. Sort of a green turquoise color. I called it malachite because it has more green than it does turquoise. And then this one's peridot. And then this one is tourmaline.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're so bright. It kind of reminds me of like Indian bangles, like from India.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. That style with the bright colors is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun.
Will you show us your purple? Because Shira's in the comments, and I think we need to see your purple.
Purple is over here.
Shira, this is for you. Oh, she just commented. She just commented. You know what color SilverSilk also comes in? A beautiful, beautiful purple.
Yeah, there we go. That's for you, Shira.
That's a good purple. Can you put that? Can we see that next to the amethyst?
Yeah.
It's some dark amethyst. I'm curious what it looks like. Oh, very fun.
My lighting here is terrible. Also, my beads are just falling out of the strand. So that's like, here we go.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I think that would be so fun, especially when you have the 2 textural differences because it's something metallic and very intricate, I guess. And then you have the stone, which is so abstract and polished.
And so with the pipe chain, you don't need any cord ends, right? So if someone went to your site get some SilverSilk to go with their beads. They can just get the pipe chain. They don't need any of the crimps or anything.
Correct. They're ready to create once they get the chain, because it can be filled in with again, like beading wire or craft wire, memory wire, leather. What else have I stuffed it with? I guess you could use bead string through it, or even like nylon strings through it. Haven't tried that yet, but that would be kind of fun to do, like macrame or something maybe. Yeah, that's kind of what I've touched up to this point, but I know there's so much, like I'm just hitting the surface with it. So I'm excited to see where it goes, and I can't wait to make more colors down the road too, whenever that can happen.
I also like some of the combinations. I was just looking, where'd my box? I literally just had there we go. I love some of the combinations you've come up with already, because the contrast is so beautiful, especially the black and silver.
Yeah, that one was,
oh my goodness.
That was it. Whenever I saw the black rubber tubing, I was just like, this has to have silver on it, because it reminds me of one of my other chains that I've got on there, and it's been a popular color as well. So I just thought that this was like a natural progression of continuing that same color combination.
I might have to accidentally drop the color scheme of our March anniversary box, just like, just so we might be able to have a pipe chain to go with it.
Ooh. Yeah, just why don't you could leak that to me, and I won't tell anybody, and then I can sort it out, maybe a complimentary thing, and then maybe we can do a thing together. You see, this is how we plan things.
We do I like to do all business meetings live and in Gem Chat.
With a gin and tonic.
I've got a plate of chicken next to me. So here we go. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, Nealay, for sharing some of your just loveliness and inspiration with us. It's always a pleasure.
I am delighted that I could spend some time with you, Sam, and with our friends out there. It's always so much fun to hear. I'm going to give a quick shout. I see one name that I wanted to give a quick shout out to, Marianne Doy, who is my friend. She's just such a supporter of SilverSilk and such a wonderful human being. And she's from Arizona, and her sister lives in Hawaii, and her sister-in-law. And they're super, like, I don't know, my biggest cheerleaders. One of my biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah. Well, that's so sweet. Well, where is she in the comments? I'm so glad you shouted her out.
I see a lot of my friends actually on here. So Sue, Miss Jacqueline, Miss Holly is here too. So I've been creeping on the Facebook here as we've been doing this video. So I've been seeing some comments pop in. And Cheryl is here too. There's quite a few of us out there. Silkies. Myra is here too.
It's amazing how many faces I also recognize. So it's nice to see a whole community of beaters shared among many. I don't know, from both of our worlds. It's very cool.
It is super cool.
So with Shira said she's off to buy her purple, so I think
we've accomplished what we set out to do.
All is right in the world. We must sign off. I just wish everyone a beautiful weekend, and don't forget to share what you're making in the Gem Chat group. If you use the February box, you can use the hashtag SamsBeadBox February 2022. That still feels off. And then of course, and check out Nealay's group, the Silkies group, for more like inspiration. Lots of inspiration.
Not to be confused by chickens though, because Silkies are also chickens, but my Silkies are not chickens.
No, they ain't. All right, Nealay, you have a lovely weekend. It was so good to catch up with you.
Thanks so much, Sam, and I will catch everyone else soon. And thanks, guys, so much for tuning in.